Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is a Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that every single show. And what do I mean by that? I say that because I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice a week long form podcast, because I want to put the right information out there from the people who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I probably fly that American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. Happy Monday, everyone. You are correct. Tracy St. Clair, good morning. Watching over on YouTube. DeCarla Schaefer, good morning to you watching on LinkedIn. Corey Buchan, happy Monday. Matt Kane, good morning to you, sir. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of stuff going on this morning, you guys. It's man, I finally feel like we're starting to really get into our groove inside of Freight Coach Logistics. And it's been a long time coming, right? It's been a long time coming to get up to this point. I had some very encouraging conversations with some of our customers last week regarding kind of like where we're at in their business, right? And back when I first started, creating content and everything, Mondays were always Mindset Monday. And, I think now more than ever, because I've like, as much as it might not seem, I've started to distance myself from social media. Like I really post my content, and then I have to get back into the day-to-day, right? Because I'm in the absolute building phase of everything, you guys. I'm prospecting, we're moving freight. I'm building the media side of things. Fortunately, I have advertisers and calls scheduled up for, to lock in stuff in 2024. So it's like I have a lot of stuff going on. And all of that comes from really of just like showing up every day and like focusing on your critical tasks of the day. And Andy Frisella talks about this a lot. It's called the power list. And it's really about having your items that you have to get done every single day. And, my mindset is like, I can't control what happened on Friday. I can control my actions today, and whatever is going to happen tomorrow is going to happen tomorrow. Right. But a lot of this buildup and everything has been, it's years in the making. Right. And, I had a really good conversation with a customer of ours on Friday about how, obviously they use other providers as well. Shocking, I know, to some of you that there is a competition out there, but, they were telling me, and they gave me some really candid feedback. And fortunately for us, abiding by our core principles, we were told that we are going to see a significant increase in freight volumes due to the way that we perform across the board. It's not just about the rates, right? Because I see posts out there all the time. I see all this talk out there all the time about price. And yes, price is a factor. I want to be abundantly clear. Price is a factor. Yes. But there is so much more to moving freight than just throwing a rate out there, right? Because it's like, what do you do when things are going wrong, right? When there's a claim or when there's delays and everything? How are you handling yourself in those situations? And, your mindset has to be solely focused on results. It has to be on working through these situations. And, it's, again, control what you can control. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've kind of been through the ringer in this industry. I jokingly say I've only moved 3 truckloads in my career, but the reality is I've been doing this for a very long time. I've seen a lot of stuff happen, and I know how to react, right? If there's issues, I know what to do. I have that mental checklist in my head because I've been through that situation so many times. And that's really what I sell on, right? When I'm cold calling or I'm prospecting my shippers, I sell on peace of mind. Okay. I sell on the fact that no matter what, they're going to know what's going on, and I think that there's so much of a, hey, are this, are that, everything else under the sun, um, is irrelevant, right? Like I've never once had a customer, a shipper, ask me like, "Hey, what's your tech stack look like?" Not once, right? My conversations with my customers have everything to do with the execution phase of the shipments, right? Because frankly, they want their trucks to show up on time and deliver on time, right? Like I think that's the only thing that they're really concerned about. Obviously, insurance and everything else. There's a bunch of ancillary things that you could go, but for the basis of this conversation about where your mindset has to be, it has to be focused on what value are you adding to their operation, because it is a risk to onboard new providers. So when you are out there prospecting your new shippers, when you are out there cold calling, what are you selling on? Are you selling on what everybody else is? Or are you selling on the fact that, what, you know how to execute, you know what to do in certain situations? Because frankly, at the end of the day, you guys, it's like trucks showing up on time and delivering on time is the expectation. It's like the bare minimum. It's table stakes, and that better be the case, right? But what are you doing to make sure that your customer knows what's going on at all times? Sell on the fundamentals, you guys. I personally think as long as there is a freight broker moving freight out there, the blocking and tackling of this industry is going to be the most important asset that you can sell on. Okay. It really is, because yes, there is a sector of the industry of shippers that are data driven and they don't want any personal touch, but that's not the majority of it, right? The majority of the people that are out there are small businesses, right? They're mid-sized companies that are out there. And what are you doing to bring them that peace of mind every single time you're reaching out to them? What are you doing to separate yourself? And I think that, that's one thing that's really kind of coming to play in my business right now. And again, you guys, we're still growing. We're still growing. I want to be abundantly clear about that. But the results that we're getting are because of the fundamentals that we abide by every single time. One of the lines that I use nonstop: good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to let you know what's going on. You might not like the message. I'm not going to like delivering the message, but it's going to be had, because I will never take my customer's ability to do their job away from them at all. Okay. So, yes, Matt Kane, I will always fly that flag unapologetically 365 days out of the year. John Radvansky, good morning to you. Road Dogs Trucking, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Matt Dahl, happy Monday. Catherine Whitehouse, let's go. Happy Monday morning. Sandy Walker, good morning. Thomas Weirden, Freight Morning Friends. Jeff Dickinson, good morning. Bill McIntyre watching over on YouTube. Good morning, everyone. All right, let's get down to some articles today. You guys, I will upload all the links to the articles up on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay, which is up on iTunes and Spotify almost immediately after the show. Zena, good morning to you. So first article we are going to break down today is cargo theft again. Because this is experts warn fleets to prepare for record-breaking thefts in 2024. And I think this is very clear about, where things are as a society, no matter what, headlines that, you see getting posted out there. It's a very rough time for a lot of people out there, and desperate times call for desperate measures. And especially in certain states where you're not convicted if you commit crimes and stuff like that, you're just essentially released. But I think that, anyways, this is a good and timely thing, because this is one of those things, with the commodities that you're hauling, right? What are you bringing? Is it makeup? Is it household goods? Is it energy drinks? Is it alcohol? What does that look like? Is there any form of security steps in place with your customers to ensure that their freight, again, you can't remove a lot of this stuff from society, because there will always be lawbreakers, because ironically, they don't care about that thing, the law. But what are you doing to ensure your customers' freight is protected in the event that they might not have something in place? But to the article we go. Cargo theft reports continue to rise across the country. Incidents jumped 59% year over year in the third quarter. Freight security experts don't expect the problem to slow down in 2024. Theft prevention specialists recommend fleets stay informed and prepare themselves if they don't want to become a statistic. The past few years have seen strategic theft skyrocket when criminals pose as legitimate carriers to steal cargo. This is not just happening in California and Texas's usual high-risk markets. This practice has spread across the heartland, with thieves sometimes hauling stolen freight back to the coast to be shipped abroad. As this trend continues, supply chain companies in smaller markets with traditionally fewer safeguards need to heighten awareness. And that was Danny Ramon from Overhaul's Intelligence and Response Manager. Additionally, pilferage, which is one of an amazing word, the theft of pallets or partial truckloads is increasing around ports. However, according to Ramon, these thieves are usually not criminal rings specialized in cargo theft, but local criminals prone to be more violent. The use of violence in cargo theft will increase in proportion to the newly formed large-scale crews, as more large-scale pilferage crews form in areas of dense intermodal activity. These crews are often made up of local criminals who are already engaged in violent crime and therefore unconcerned with the increased penalties that come with violence. This is a stark contrast to the organized full truckload cargo thieves that are going on out there. I always go back to this. I would say that the overwhelming majority of the cargo theft that happens out there is an inside job. This is strictly my opinion, but a lot of that came to light over these last couple of years when you see all these photos of just all these random rail cars that just happen to have TVs in them, starting to get broken into and everything. I think that has a lot to do with what we see out there in the crime world, right? But then again, you guys, like a lot of these, it's known, right? Anybody with half a brain can go and see XX manufacturer in this city and know that they have high value stuff that's out there, and they can follow the trucks out of there and everything else. Like, this is the big deal with having, if you have one of those loads that is of high value, having a plan in place where your driver doesn't stop for a few hundred miles at least, because they're looking for these quick hits and stuff. But additionally, obviously, criminals will likely find new ways to infiltrate brokerage operations, shocker, by hacking or manipulating data with the aim to steal freight. The industry is seeing at least a 50% increase in strategic theft in 2022 to 2023. Bigger companies are getting better at spotting fraudulent activities, but the smaller mom and pop operators that need to be more vigilant. The small 1 to 10 truck carriers may not have sophisticated cybersecurity practices in place, and that's why they have to do their due diligence from where they're getting the load. You guys, I literally just did a 4-part series about cybersecurity every Tuesday in November. Of those podcasts, you guys, was all dedicated to cybersecurity. So if you are a smaller carrier out there, there is a ton of information on those podcasts, and a lot of it comes from my time at the NMFTA cybersecurity conference. They're spearheading the cybercrime that's going on out there in the industry. And then it's also, let me see here. The topic of supply chain risk is not a new concept. However, it will continue to focus more on the leadership levels of shippers and logistics providers, and managers will spend more time assessing risk. And when times are tough, obviously people steal more. He said carriers must pay attention to the market. Again, this is a very good article for a lot of you to read, because I think that as things continue to progress in the wrong direction here, you guys, in the economy and everything else, because in the real world, a lot of our household goods are up exponentially. I personally know, as somebody who buys groceries and pays a power bill and pays bills in this country, that my bills are up exponentially over these last couple of years. But that has a trickle-down effect, right? Desperate times call for desperate measures. But I think that a lot of what we see out there, you guys, it is having a plan, right? Like, that's the big thing that a lot of security experts out there talk about is having a plan in the event that something like this happens. Or if you're working with the shipper, again, you guys, like I always want to think everything is going to go right, but talk about a lot of this stuff, talk about this, document it, talk to your carriers. I think that a big step that a lot of providers can take is the continual training of working with their staff on a lot of this stuff, right? Because they're always looking for the easy targets, and then especially when it comes to cybersecurity, and then like the phishing emails. Shout out to SPI Logistics. There was some stuff that came out, but they instantly got all over it and warned everybody, like, hey, this is what this is. They have a plan in place, right? How many of you inside of your organization do not have plans in place, do not have anything, right? So it's kind of really starting from that ground level, you guys, and working it up, because it's only going to get more and more sophisticated. The more and more digital we become, the more and more less invasive the typical criminals need to be in finding out where the freight's going to be. Like they were talking about, I've heard of a couple of stories about this from some friends in the industry. I'm not going to mention any names, but it was by a double broker who got the load and then brought it to a warehouse in California where they were going to cross-dock it and then ship it to another location and steal the shipment and stuff. So again, you guys, pay attention, right? I think that there is a lot of great software that is out there to help vet the providers. But again, you guys, software isn't going to, you can't out software bad training, right? So talk to your staff, train your staffs on, again, what do these shipments actually like? How do you actually vet a carrier, right? And I think a lot of the bad actors are very much deterred by somebody who knows what they're talking about, i.e., the ins and outs of the shipments, appointment times, requiring driver information, tracking. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff, you guys. So I would always start there, and who knows, maybe I should do a podcast just based on cargo theft alone. But that article, you guys, fleetowner.com. Experts warn fleets to prepare for record-breaking cargo theft in 2024. Mike Mikulik, what's up? Speaking of SPI Logistics, that's a guy you guys need to talk to if you guys want to become an agent, take control of your financial future, have a very established back office that helps you with literally whatever you need. Like I was mentioning on last Friday's show, you guys, I had a crane offloaded a facility, and cranes don't work for free and they require money and everything else. And I just had to notify my people in the back office at SPI, and they took care of all the payment, and I could just focus on executing and focus on my customer and everything else. So hit them up, you guys. Hit them up if you want that. Papa Freight, good morning. Happy Monday to you. Melissa Susie, good morning. Juan Baena, what is up? And then Mike says shippers need to be aware and ask brokers what steps they are taking to mitigate fraud. I would agree with that wholeheartedly, Mike. That's exactly what shippers need to do. Next article we are going to break down. JOC.com, U.S. truckload rates unlikely to see major holiday bump amid tepid peak season. A great way to stay in front of your holiday rates, you guys. Green screens, top of the screen here, you guys. I literally use them for every single shipment that I move. Last minute, a few days in advance, whatever that looks like. That's what I'm pricing every single truckload I am moving right now, is through the rates that I get through green screen. It's, because again, you guys, especially a lot of us, when we're starting off, there's not a lot of consistent lanes that we're moving. We're kind of being thrown out there to try and find our cadence inside with some of our new customers. So I would hit them up. Back to the article here. Truckload rates ended November lower than October as the lead into the holiday season has been a lump of coal. All right, dad joke. Lump of coal so far. Truckload rates typically climb between Labor Day and Christmas as shippers bring in holiday merchandise. The average U.S. shipper paid $224 per mile on a weighted basis and $238 per mile on an unweighted basis in November, including fuel. According to the JOC analysts of data from Cargo Chief, DAT Freight and Analytics, and LoadSmart, as well as a survey of logistics providers. The Journal of Commerce shipper paid rates have fluctuated within a 5-cent range since July 4th. While some trucking executives hoped the holiday season would break the cycle, that has yet to materialize. Dean Croak, he is with DAT. Dean's been on the show a bunch of times, said that this peak season is looking similar to pre-pandemic times rather than November November of 20 and 2021. It's almost identical to the conditions in the truckload in November of 2019, which was a soft market. Tender acceptance remains very high. So that's why we're seeing lower spot markets. Routing guide compliance is still very high. One shipper who will remain anonymous said their tender acceptance rate for November was 98%. Holy shit. In a normal November on my heaviest lanes, tender acceptance may drop as low as 85%, although typically 90 to 92 is where we see it. I'm not using the spot market right now because the first carrier we contact is almost always taking the business. A second shipper who also did not want to be identified said that they believe the trucking market is lackluster because there is not much inventory replenishing going on through the ports. Part of it is there's no inbound volume. There's nothing going into these distribution centers. There is a few bright spots ahead. Croak believes that the truckload spot rates will rise as much as 10 cents per mile in December as the last minute stores bolster their demand. Croak said that there is an important bellwether of freight markets about the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates. And then he goes on to say that we have a lot of inventory sitting in warehouses and shippers are reluctant to aggressively order more because of high interest rates. Again, you guys, like, what does this mean? Right. I think that I can only base it off of the freight that I'm moving and the customers that I'm moving right now. And I see a lot of opportunities arising. I think it's very important to note out that not every single shipper out there is at a 98% acceptance rate. One of my customers that utilizes a spot market and style that they're talking about in here, the spot market's still pretty active. The pricing is, it's tough to say what the rates are being moved for and everything, but the opportunities are out there. And I think that, no matter what, don't stop prospecting, right? There's opportunities that are out there no matter what. You just have to find them. You got to work a lot harder to get them than you probably have over these last couple of years. But that's a good thing, you guys, because that gives you the reality of how the real world works. And it takes a lot of effort to get some customers, you guys. And then especially, to keep them in any freight market, so don't get deterred by this. I think there's still plenty of opportunities that are out there. I'm an optimistic realist, you guys. You can never tell me it's a bad time because I think that's loser talk. If you sit here and say, oh, it's bad, I'm going to wait. If you're going to wait, I will eat your lunch. But that article, joc.com, U.S. truckload rates unlikely to see major holiday bump, that's out there. Road Dogs Trucking says, I did a carrier package with a new broker and their process was so thorough. I was impressed with the identity website as a means to prevent double brokering and half-baked carriers that run uncompliant. It's a good thing, man. It's a really good thing. We need more. We need more of that because, again, I think that the bad actors naturally get weeded out. You guys, I truly feel that way. I just think that, we got to work a little bit harder for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Last article we are going to break down, fleetowner.com. How do Americans view truck drivers? How do American truck drivers think the public views them? According to some, not very highly. While interviewing truck drivers out there, Dr. Ethan Slaughter, the COO at Christensen Transportation in Stratford, Missouri, found that drivers often feel disrespected. Let me see here. Slaughter at McLeod's user conference told a group of fleet industry executives that when he interviewed drivers, he asked for examples of how they feel they've been disrespected. Some mentioned being cut off in traffic, and another mentioned at being disrespected at Walmart. He said, every time I go to Walmart, people look at me like I'm a dirty, worthless, stupid truck driver. Thankfully for truckers, perception isn't always reality. Cloud Trucks Research surveyed 2,000 Americans to determine their perception of drivers. The results proved Americans mostly view drivers in a favorable light. And the survey also included a short quiz on what they know about the industry. Americans value and hold a favorable view of truck drivers across all regions. Most Americans, 80%, think truckers play a crucial role in the economy. I think that's low. I think 100% of people should realize that truckers are the economy. And yes, there's a bunch of roles that make up the United States and everything. But I think we can all safely say without our truck drivers who are moving goods across the country, it's kind of hard to operate. Almost half of the respondents, 43% believe truckers frequently encounter unsafe or aggressive driving behaviors from other motorists. I think that's low because 100% of the time I'm on the road, I see a shitty driver out there. There were some different respondents and perceptions of drivers. However, 21% of respondents imagine an older white male with tattoos and rough appearance when they think of truck drivers, and 13% of respondents perceiving truck drivers as being reckless, disregarding safety precautions and traffic rules. The 21% imagining white men with tattoos and a rough appearance. I'm going to be honest, that was like 100% of my dad's friends growing up that were truck drivers. So although you can see that in I pretty much every single one of the drivers that I grew up with, for those of you who didn't know, my dad was a truck driver. He drove for 40 years. All of his friends of any ethnic background all had tattoos, and they did look rough at times. And, again, I'm going to use my dad as an example. The dude looked rough as fuck. He had long, curly hair. He had a fucking thick handlebar mustache. He smoked like 3 packs of cigarettes every single day. If you think I have a deep, raspy voice, his was even deeper and even raspier. And yeah, I could see how that was a thing. But that's not everybody. The survey asked respondents about their first thought when they meet a truck driver in a social setting. Almost half said that they would respect the drivers for their sacrifices, hard work, and contributions to society. Because multiple responses were permitted for this question, 46% said that they would be interested in learning more from a truck driver about their experiences in the industry and travels. I think that, again, with that, a lot of us need to go back to appreciating what everybody does to make our lives easier, whether it's somebody who bags your groceries for you at the grocery store, checks you out at the convenience store, loads the trucks, transports. I think we need to get back to that as a society, that we should all be having a favorable view of what people do to contribute to make our great country just that great. I think it's a good article overall, right? And I think that, Americans' perceptions of truck drivers, I think, should be the same as with every role that's out there. We need to do a better job of respecting our fellow men and women in this country and the roles that they work in, and get back to those core American values, right? Like, I have such a high regard of respect for trucking drivers and the industry as a whole. I come from a family of truck drivers. My family's been in this industry since 1930. And we need to get back to that, right? And I know that you could kind of take that in any way that you want, but again, what are we going to do if there aren't drivers? If there aren't those blue collar workers out there building buildings and doing all that shit? This is a little bit off topic from the thing of how do the Americans view truck drivers, but I think we all need to do a better job of appreciating what everybody does to make our lives as great as they are here in this great nation. But good article. That article is from Fleet Owner and How Do Americans View Truck Drivers. But that will be it for today, you guys. As always, the links to all these articles will be uploaded onto the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay up on iTunes and Spotify. We'll be back tomorrow, you guys, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, as always. If you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share this show out there, you guys. That's how we grow. But most importantly, this is how we help more and more people. And the fact that if you see value, your network will see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.